Okay, so we're gonna be continuing the Blue Arc of Character Ranking series, continuing into the second volume for today. The way we rank these characters is self-explanatory as it's based on how much I like them. So yeah, and just giving a few thoughts on Volume 2 compared to Volume 1, I do enjoy this a lot more compared to Volume 1. I do think the themes around this volume and what it adds to the perspective of the story is pretty interesting to me, and we'll go more over it as we go through the rankings here. And yeah, there's not much for me to, I guess, say other than that. And let's just get started right away. I don't think this video will be super long because even though I say that, a lot of these characters are simple and probably will take like a few, maybe like half a minute to talk about because they are more so just characters I enjoy for what they are than really a lot more into them. Aside from, an obvious few we'll go through once we rank more of them. But yeah, so let's start with the engineering group. I think this one's Kotori. She's kind of just okay to me. I don't really have a lot to say on her other than I guess she's just kind of fine. She can be entertaining at times, and the group overall can be cool, I guess. But yeah, that's where it ends. By the way, and another rule is if a character is reoccurring from a previous chapter, then we'll actually be updating that at the end of the video. But right now, that doesn't actually happen aside from obviously Sensei because you're actually the protagonist, right? So we're gonna be updating his ranking at the end. Next up will be, I think this is Kotobuki or Kotobi. I don't remember the name for her, but I do actually enjoy her a bit more than the other one. Not a lot, but I do really like her design. Her design is really fun to me. But just as much as I say on Kotori, I think it applies to her, but just a little bit better. I like just kind of, I guess, her vibe, I suppose. There's not really much to say on that. I guess they're, as a group, they're cool. Their involvement and how much they help the game development club is neat. But, individually, there's not a lot to talk about. Utaha is probably my favorite. I say probably, but she is my favorite of the three. Same thing, not a bunch to say, but she is the more entertaining one of the three for me. I do enjoy her little bit of kind of fight, I suppose if you want to say it, with Karin in the infiltration arc, which is, I guess, decent, but it's not anything big, but it's more than the other two, I guess. And then the last one would be their president. She kind of just showed up at the end. Don't have much really to say on her. We're just getting through these kind of characters so we can go and give the detail to the main cast. And that's not really to say the side ones were not good. I think they were actually better than the previous chapter. I guess if you want to consider Problem Solvers a side cast, I don't really consider them to be because they were basically one of the mains. But last chapter we barely had much. It was Hifumi, which kind of was there for a little bit. Gehenna's is kind of meh to me. Even the main cast themselves, like Ayane and Nanomi, were kind of just mediocre. Same with Serika and Shiroko. It was only really Hoshino that was kind of carrying it. And obviously Black Suit. Black Suit, as we see here, he's still up there at the top. But yeah. I don't remember these two's names, but I'm just gonna put them in C. They are from Veritas, so I think that's their pronunciation. I would hope so, at least. I think I put this one slightly higher, but it doesn't really kind of leave an impression on me. Individually, I don't know really what to say. They, help, but yeah, that's where it ends. But I do at least like Maki, because I remember her name, mostly because I guess I like the design for her, and I think she's kind of has a fun energy to her. It's not anything special, but it's enough for you to be entertained at the very least. So I would give her a B minus tier. And I would probably put her, I guess, as I see, between Ako and Kotobi. I gotta look up her name at the end of this video. But I'm not sure between her and Ako, but for now I'll put Ako above her. Now let's actually go to the characters we want to talk more about, because now we're actually at the main cast. I didn't want to rank them first so that we go through the main meat of the discussion and then just kind of leave the rest just, ranking characters that I will have nothing to say on, or mostly nothing to say on. So starting off with Momo, and I'm actually going to rank Midori with her a lot as well, because they're kind of like a duo. It's kind of hard to talk about one without the other. There isn't also a lot to say about these two. With this cast, to me, it's a lot more on the simple side compared to the first one, but I don't think that simple means worse, because simple and simplicity, if done right, can be really fucking good. There's a lot of cases with shows and kind of characters that, even in their simplicity, they're done really well. It could be much better than the complex ones. And I have no problem with that. I just think it matters a lot in execution, and for me, this is what it shows here. Because I think Momo and Midori's kind of little dynamic and energy they bring to the table is really entertaining to watch. Momo, especially herself, she is easily the better of the twins. She has this little silly, I guess, goofball personality, this kind of, I guess, idiotic kind of shit she has where she's thinking she's hot shit, she's, trying to do all this kind of unnecessary stuff in their games, trying to add a lot of, art and whatnot, wasting time, and just seeing how she's like is really entertaining. And I think it probably does make the chapter for me a whole lot more enjoyable. Because I think if not for her, the story would be, I wouldn't say worse, but probably less entertaining in the beginning. Because I think as we go a bit in a little bit about Arisu, she is like the one that holds the story, basically, because it's about her and her development. But Momoe is very much needed, and I think even in her simplicity and just how she is, and of course her moments and just how determined she is to accept Arisu for who she is, even though she has, the situation of Ki, and how she's basically kind of an unknown AI that's been like worshipped by like an ancient tribe or something like that, and they are willing to accept her regardless, even though there's a risk that she could just go back into being the crazy state that she was in before. And I think that really is great. It's a simple scene, but they are, as I said in like a lot of different analysis videos I've made in these shorts, they are just like, I think they're either high schoolers or middle school. I think they're high schoolers, but regardless, they're still students, and that type of simple mindset works a lot for them. And I think just the way they do the finale with them is just really wonderful to me. And if we go on Midori a little bit, because we go a lot on Momoe, she's a lot, less out there, but I think she's still good. She's fun because she bounces off of Momoe and her kind of, gag, the straight man kind of gag character. She's kind of like the straight man of the two. And I guess, as you can see, they have the trope of the twins ones, energetic ones, kind of like the Kuderi emotionless type. But I do think like they do that really well. I do enjoy how they are. I do think you can probably enjoy Momoe doesn't need Midori to be like a fun character to me, but I do think Midori does need Momoe to be a fun character, because if not for Momoe, I feel like I would not care much for Midori, if I'm being honest. But that's why they're written the way they are. They're written for them to be, complementing each other in terms of being an entertaining bunch, or duo, if you may. And yeah, so if we go next to Yuzu, honestly, I did not expect myself to like Yuzu. She's the type of character where I would think I would just end up putting in C and I don't care. But I feel like there's some scenes that make me, like her a lot more. Because before she was just in the C tier at the beginning, but I would actually bump her to B-. It's not, higher ranking, but I do enjoy parts where she's grows out of her timid personality. We see that she confronts Neru despite being established as this ferocious and scary figure that everyone's worried about because of how fierce she is with her fighting and all that type of stuff. And despite the danger and risk that she would be in when the group was trying to get the Bible, she stands up to her and lies about being with her or whatever, and then basically manages to save everybody from Neru. And I think that really just establishes a cool little kind of growth to her without giving her like a big spotlight on kind of growing as a character and like a little thing. And I like that a lot. It's like a little nice indirect characterization, if you may, because I really enjoy that type of stuff. You don't have to always give a character a grandiose episode and a grandiose arc to them. They can develop as a slight, gradual, subtle way, and I feel like that's what it is with Yuzu, because we see later on more on her kind of how she is with gaming, and I really like kind of just her slowly becoming more of a leader, because in the beginning, obviously she doesn't feel like a leader, she's barely there, she's not as often present, but I feel like later on she becomes a lot more present and relevant, and you see that she's also determined to save, Arisu and her, because she's their friend. But yeah, I think overall she's good. I do like her. She's a decent character. Next up, I think the star of the game development club, I would say, is going to be Arisu. See, Arisu to me adds a interesting perspective to the chapter or volume, as I said earlier in the video, because there's this idea where, as a sensei, as I say in the previous video, you have the responsibility for the students and their paths and making sure they are in the correct path and trying to help them with their problems. I do enjoy, even in the anime, we see more of this, because I actually think in the anime Sensei has gotten a lot more development now, as we see that he's unsure and kind of thinking about what to do with Hoshino's struggle, because he knows that Hoshino is hiding stuff, and you see that he's struggling to figure out a way to help her. You know, that's a bit off topic from today's video, but I think it's important to note, because now when you have Arisu, what is the situation now if she's a character or a student that has a ticking bomb? She's an AI that has that, you know, key personality that could just destroy the whole thing, because she's not supposed to be a student. She's just an AI that's kind of protecting the princess or whatever, because that's what Arisu is and whatnot, as far as what I understood from that. And I think that makes it kind of another side to this, because you have a student that could just destroy everything, but Sensei picks the route of saving her no matter what. And that's what I like a lot about, if I just honestly rank her right now to talk about her, Rio, who's just honestly an A- for me. You know, my favorite character in this batch, spoilers alert, in this chapter, because I really like how there's this kind of thing between Rio and Sensei, because in the previous chapter we have established about the like rivalry between Black Suit and Sensei, and just the idea of being an adult and what it means to be an adult in this world. And Rio establishes just like the idea of Sensei choosing the path he wants to choose. Does he choose Arisu because she's his student and he must, you know, decide to save her at all costs, or sacrifice her just so the other students would be safe because she has like this, obviously, the time ticking bomb? Or I mean, I'm saying it kind of on the figurative sense, but she's basically could just kill everybody, if you get me. And Rio, I think, adds that perspective a lot, because Rio is an ends justify the means, you know, minority for the sake of majority type of character, you know, kind of like the character of Kiritsugu from Fate Zero, if you watch that, where she believes about logic and considers that as long as the logic dictates it, then nothing should be wrong. She obviously doesn't want to kill Arisu, as you could see, but she tries her best to repress emotions when it comes to this, because it's the logical way. She should not exist. Arisu should be gone to her, because if she's around, then there would be a lot of casualties. And I think it's a very interesting kind of antagonist in here, because again, it adds an interesting development to Sensei, as well as just even Arisu herself and her deciding that you can choose who you can be, even with that in mind. And I really like, as I say, with Momo and Midori's kind of moment and Yuzu, that they choose her. They decide to stick to her, even though Arisu has that ticking bomb in her. And Arisu finally decides that she can just choose who she wants to be. She can be a hero if she wants. And even aside from that, Arisu, early on, to me, was not the most entertaining character, but you really just grow to love her as the, you know, story goes forward, and you see, you know, for example, one of my favorite parts of the story for second volume is the slice of life day off with Arisu and her adventure with Sensei, because you see a lot of just what Arisu is like, and seeing that she's kind of developed to be part of the group. You know, originally she's kind of this AI that doesn't really know anything, because she's basically a princess that doesn't really have a personality at that point. But as they find her and get her to play more games, she sort of just becomes part of the group and basically talks in, you know, gamer language or whatever. But it's very charming and fun. And you see just her interact with the different characters. For example, you see her interact with Asuna, Karin, and you even see her interact with the trainer character. I forgot her name, the one at the very end right here with the ponytail. It's just those small scenes add a lot, I think, and especially the relationship between her and Neru. You know, Neru sees her as a friend and respects her, and despite how Rio was trying to use them as a tool, the maid group, Neru just cannot stand by and comply with, you know, demands of Rio if it just means hurting Arisu. And Rio is the first character in the series right now that is just determined to kill somebody. I mean, she literally said she wants to destroy the halo of Arisu. But yeah, that's gonna be what I think of Arisu. She's definitely a great character. I think her and Rio, to me, aside from, I guess, Black Suit, because Black Suit's on his own tier right now. He's still, like, easily my favorite character, and, like, what he has, you know, to offer from that one scene. But these two, I think, offer just as good, I think. Well, not just as good, but just a great kind of insight in the second volume. And to me, I'm definitely excited to see how that's tackled in the next volumes, because I feel like Arisu will probably come back. So we'll see. And let's go through the remainder of these cast. The rest I don't have a lot to say, but there's one, of course, the obvious one. But Yuka, I'm not really that interested in her. She's just kind of okay. She exists to me more as the plot, kind of to introduce the plot to us, because to her, she's the one that tells the group to make the game or participate in that contest, or else the group gets disbanded. But other than that, I'm not really I don't really have anything to say about her much. She's kind of just decent for me, so I don't really have a lot to talk about. And if I just rank, the trainer one, not really much to say either. I mean, I don't even remember her name. So yeah, that's a pretty right answer to that. The elf one, she's the friend. I mean, you can see she's probably the closest one to Rio. And I mean, she does actually have, a decent kind of thing with Rio, but it's not like a lot. But you can see that she definitely understands Rio and knows that Rio deep down doesn't want to do this type of stuff, and she ends up helping you out to defeat Rio and find out and finally get all this situation resolved. Definitely she's definitely okay. Like I like her a bit more than Yuka and the others. Now we have the maid group last. Neru, I mean, I did talk all that about Arisu, but I do like Neru more. Neru is just, fun as fuck. She just steals the scene for me. I really enjoy Neru, her development. Just seeing how early on she's this ferocious, very, fucking crazy fighter and whatnot. She would just go all out. And seeing later on her kind of relationship with Arisu, as I explained, and just the other characters, you can see that she's a tsundere. She isn't actually like this evil kind of character that doesn't have feelings. And you see later on that she definitely cares about the people she talks to and all this type of stuff. And I really enjoy even just her kind of little pride going for her. She doesn't want to lose a fight. She's like, and especially I really like her fight with Toki. I'm gonna rank her in a little bit. And it's just a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun to watch. She's entertaining as hell. And her dynamic with Arisu makes her really good to me. And let's all rank Asuna. I'm gonna put her in B. I don't have a lot to say on Asuna, but I think she's just a fun character to see. Maybe later there's more. I imagine that in side content, because I definitely will go through that. In terms of tier list ranking, I'll probably do that like on a separate tier list or whatever. But in terms of this, I like her. She's fun to watch. But in terms of like what to say, there's not a ton. Honestly, she probably has one of my favorite designs in this series. It's simple, but I like it. Karin, she's kind of, I mean, honestly, she's not as high as Asuna for me, but I think I would still put her in like C+. I mean, I say it's not high, but like you can see there's a big tier difference. So I guess I'm wrong, but yeah, not much to see on Karin. I guess she has a decent little scene with Utaha in the infiltration arc, but it's kind of where it ends for me. The last two here, we have Toki. You can see she's the secondary antagonist, because she's the one that prevents, she's the one that you're constantly fighting, because she's the lackey of Rio. And we don't really know much about her, other than just kind of her robotic-like personality. And honestly, as a character, I don't really have a lot to say, but I think she definitely serves her purpose well, and I think generally she's adding a lot to the table for me, because again, as I said, I like her fight with Neru and just kind of how that goes, because I like the fucking even I was surprised to see the battle be in the dialogue, because usually the battles are you're playing and fighting against them, so that was fun. And last is Akane. Not really a lot for me to say either on her. There's just kind of she's okay, basically. Like, I don't have a lot to say about her. Now, before we end the video, we do want to actually move Sensei higher because of what I talked about. And, because he's a recurrent character, obviously, you're playing a Sensei, so he would obviously change for me. And I'm going to move him from the C+ ranking actually to B. I enjoy Sensei a lot from the things I just talked about when I talked about, Rio and Arisu. There's a lot of things you can add when it comes to Sensei, because, you have now a student where the question was, should you sacrifice one of your students for the others, or are you going to try to save them no matter what? But since we know what Sensei did for Hoshino back then, we obviously know that he's going to try to save Arisu. And especially just kind of seeing overall the development and kind of seeing how his interactions are with Arisu and just the other characters. I really like Sensei in this chapter. He's really cool. maybe later on it'll be even higher. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that Sensei is overall a very good character. I didn't think they would do a good job at him, but they did, and I'm happy about that. But that is going to wrap up the tier list for today. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I think we'll be meeting again with this tier list once I get to volume 3. At the time of making this video, I haven't even started it. So yeah, once I get to that, we'll come back on here and talk about our rankings and discussion for the 3rd volume. Look out for other content videos, scripted videos and whatnot. Those are still being worked on. I just like to do these, unscripted videos, just kind of chill and talking and whatnot. But yeah, I'll be catching you in the next one.